Okay, let's roll. Okay. We should be on YouTube. Now we'll be able to roll that. All right, so let's get started. You can tweet the show at SA Radio Boy. You can take part in the poll question of the day. Do you think the Spurs will play in an empty AT&T Center this season? The early voting had 40% saying no. I would think, though, at least 50% of that group that said no would like to change their vote based on the news of the afternoon, and we'll get right to that right here, as the opening segment is brought to you, as always, by Wallys Daily Food Truck. One of the highest rated food trucks in San Antonio. If you're a commercial property, you're looking to bring a food truck to your complex and to your tenants, get in touch with me today at saradioboy@gmail.com. If you're holding an event like the villages of West Creek are this weekend on Saturday from 4 to 11 at 1604 and Military Highway, go about a mile outside Military Highway, you'll see Wally's food truck this weekend. This Saturday, 4 to 11, will be set up there. So come out and see me if you've always wanted to get a sub from Wally's Food Truck. I will be out there from 4 to 11 serving you, and you. So come on out. All right, let's get right to it. The coronavirus continues to impact the sports world. The latest, if you're just getting in your car, if you're just figuring out, if you had your head in the sand for a couple of days, the NCAA tournament will now be either canceled, but for now, the fans will not be allowed in the buildings during the game, but don't be surprised if they decide to cancel this tournament. They are certainly, at this point, they're looking to move the game out of the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Atlanta to a smaller arena in Atlanta. We'll see. I don't know exactly what that is going to accomplish by doing that, but that certainly is that's certainly something they're trying to do. And again, there is word out there that they are thinking of the possibility of canceling the entire NCAA tournament. So we'll see where that goes. The Golden State Warriors will abide by the law in Oakland and will not allow fans into the arena on Thursday night when they host the Brooklyn Nets. When will the San Antonio Spurs follow suit? Well, I don't think they're going to follow suit until the NBA decides to come out and disallow the fans, because you'd be shocked at this point if the state of Texas made any kind of declaration. Far be it from Texas to do the right thing. That's just not what they do. The state is all about the money, and think that for some reason Texans believe that they're bulletproof and that this can't happen in Texas. And they felt the same way with mass shootings, and of course they were 100% wrong with that. They'll be 100% wrong with this, and the mistakes that they're making in allowing the Alamo Dome to continue to have the high school basketball games. That's a mistake. It's too risky. It's just too risky. So the Spurs will do this when they're forced to do it, because Bexar County, San Antonio, the state of Texas, there's nobody there that has a spine that will do anything as far as the right thing is to be done. That's the lay of the land around here. What can I tell you? Somehow, someway, the Houston Rodeo, I think when you look at it, I think you'll realize that folks in Houston, the government in Houston is just a little bit smarter than they are here in San Antonio. The Houston Rodeo, they did the right thing today and canceled that event. And that, of course, leads you to the question, when will Fiesta be canceled? And listen, and here's the thing. When Fiesta gets canceled, just like when South by got canceled, people were up in arms over this, thinking this is just an overreaction. And when the hell did an overreaction become the worst thing in the world? What's bad about overreaction? Really, we shouldn't be overcautious about this? People telling me, and I'll tell you this. My dad is 83. My mother-in-law is 85, I think, or 86. And I had plans to fly up there. In fact, I booked tickets. I booked flights to go up to New York. So I put that question out on Twitter just as kind of like a kind of test thing on my Twitter followers. And I said to them, should I go, with having no intention whatsoever of making that trip? And people said, yeah, you should go. You know, you're gonna, at some point it's gonna be your time to go anyway. And I thought, really? That's the way people look at it? You know, it just happened to be your time. Is that how you look at death, really? It's your time to go? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. Why would you take a risk? That's just, I mean, you know, it's like getting in a car and having 15 beers and getting in the car. Well, listen, if it's your time to go, it's your time to go. No, you're taking a risk that you shouldn't. There's a reason for laws. Don't drink and drive. It's poor for your health. Don't get in an airplane with a bunch of strangers. There's a chance you could get the coronavirus, and then you pass it on to 83, 85-year-old people. There's a good chance they will die. So you people who answered me today on Twitter, you would like me to just kill my mother-in-law and my father. Is that basically what you're saying? Why would I take that risk? You people got to be smarter than that. You have to be smarter than that, don't you? I would think you're smarter than that. Maybe I underestimated San Antonio. I don't know why you would think that would be a good idea for me to go, especially to a place like New Rochelle. And listen, if you're paying attention, you would know this. New Rochelle has been quarantined. New Rochelle is my hometown. New Rochelle is where my father lives. In fact, my father may be in that 1-mile quarantine zone that they have currently in New Rochelle because there's 100+ cases of coronavirus spread by one man. And this is the part of the virus that people don't understand. They think this is the flu. This is not the flu. This is a highly contagious virus out there. This isn't the flu. This guy came home with it. His family got it. His neighbor got it. His postman got it. And then his whole synagogue got it. They got 100+ cases from one guy getting it. And you think, listen, you don't know when you're going to be able to see your father again. Well, you know what? You're going to have to take that chance because going up there to New York is way too risky. And it made me think of something else today. I took the question out on Twitter maybe about 2 weeks ago. Hey, if Wheel of Fortune gave you a free cruise, would you get on it? And people said, hell yeah, I'd get on it. There were 6 boats that left yesterday from port for people going on vacation. They were asked, aren't you concerned about the coronavirus? They said, yeah, we're concerned, but we're not going to let it ruin my vacation. Oh, death wouldn't ruin your vacation? You people are just assholes. I don't get it. Late night TV shows that are taped in New York or that are live in New York will now be taped in New York without live audiences. That includes Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Fallon, and Seth Meyers. We now have over 1,000 flu viruses, or not flu viruses, but virus cases in the U.S., and that continues to grow. And the World Health Organization came out today and called it a pandemic. So there you go. Richard Ridgway on Facebook says, without fans, couldn't these tournament games be played at local middle schools? Sure, they could, but who cares? Why does that matter? I don't care where the games are played. Anyway, topic number 2 this afternoon is the Spurs won last night, and they showed again. To me, what seems like, they've done this about a dozen times this season, they showed you what could have been. What could have been. You get a terrific game out of LaMarcus Aldridge in his return last night with 24 points. DeMar DeRozan, underwhelming, with 13. But you had a big game, obviously, for Marco Bellinelli. Somebody says, do you coach a Little League? I do not. But thank you for asking. But the Spurs played well last night. You know, you got some decent play out of Keldon Johnson defensively a couple of different times there. That will certainly get him on the floor. He did a great job against Luka Doncic on that one possession that everybody remembers. But don't forget, Doncic still went for 38 points. But it's what could have been for the Spurs. Alexander Mesquiti says, boo coronavirus. Yeah, that's more than boo. You may be doing more than booing. You may be digging a hole for your parents to be buried in. That's how bad it is. So you watched that game last night and you're thinking, why can't they do this every night? Village Wolf 3 says, time to play the youngsters. They've been playing the youngsters. I'm not quite sure what you're missing. Drew Eubanks played last night. Keldon Johnson played last night. Listen, I watched Lucas Samanich play the other night. He's not ready for NBA basketball. Lonnie Walker's hurt. And Quindary Witherspoon isn't ready for the NBA either. So they're playing everybody that they have. Who's missing? Who's the one guy? Who's the one guy in the Spurs that you'd like to see play and is not playing? Who's the guy? A lot more. I want to see Luka. Luka's not ready to play in the NBA. Did you see him play the other night? He's not ready to play in the NBA. He looked completely lost. Now listen, you want to play him? Who cares? What's the difference? Is that gonna make you? Is playing Luka? Is that gonna make you watch the Spurs games more often? Who cares? I don't care if Luka plays or not. Listen, as I said yesterday, the Spurs franchise will now be led by DeJounte Murray, and it will go as far as DeJounte Murray can take them. That's all there is to it. If you don't realize that, you don't really know what you're watching. DeJounte Murray is the star in the making on this team. Who knows if DeRozan stays or goes? Obviously, that report yesterday was erroneous, as he said it was anyway last night. But who knows? As I said yesterday, I can't see a scenario where DeJounte Murray leaves $27 million on the table to go sign somewhere else. Who's going to pay DeJounte Murray $27 million in his contract? Who's going to do that? You have to be nuts. No way. Not going to happen. My bet is DeMar DeRozan comes back. Did I say DeMar DeRozan? I hope I did. So there's that. And these are also understand these are the dog days of the NBA season. The Mavericks, how much did they have? How much get up and go did they have for that game last night? I'm sure the Dallas Mavericks thought, hey, we're just going to roll out the basketball tonight. We'll beat the Spurs. Why wouldn't they think that? Everybody's been able to beat the Spurs. So, but give the Spurs credit. They played well, and they won the basketball game, and good for them. They won't make the playoffs. I don't think there's anybody out there that still believes they will, other than maybe the players themselves. But at this point, it really doesn't matter whether they make the playoffs or not. Leo says, Wally, I need a beer. Leo, you are correct. I need a beer as well. So that'll do it for the show. One last word, as always. If you or someone you know, a friend, family member, anybody that you know that's talking about suicide is just mentioning that word, get them some help. Pass them the number 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. Maybe we can help somebody today. There's certainly veterans out there that need our help. And if they're thinking about suicide, there's an alternative, and that's giving them the phone number 1-800-273-8255. Village Wolf 3 says we can't keep both Lamar and LMA. One of them must go. Yes, you can keep both of those players, and it's really not in the Spurs' control unless they try to trade LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't see how who's going to take LaMarcus Aldridge at this point. And DeMar DeRozan, it's his option. So if DeMar DeRozan decides he wants to stay with the Spurs, he stays with the Spurs, and then they'll have to trade LaMarcus Aldridge. I don't see how they get rid of either one of those guys. If you're just tuning in now, this Spurs team won't change a lot from this season to next. It's just not there. There's not a lot of guys that are going to be off the books unless, of course, DeRozan, which would be crazy to think, DeRozan decides to hand in $27 million and go elsewhere. That would make no sense. Unless, of course, DeRozan hates it in San Antonio. Maybe he's Kawhi Leonard number 2 and doesn't like living or working or playing or doing anything in San Antonio and can't wait to get the hell out of here. That's always a possibility. San Antonio is not for everybody, as we know. And so maybe DeMar DeRozan says, screw it, I don't like to be here. I'll take a pay cut and I'll go play in a more desirable city for him. It's always possible. So we'll see what happens. All right, that'll do it for 15 at 5. Episode number 17. We have episode 18 tomorrow. Pounding the rock, says Alexander. Okay? Keep pounding the rock. That'll do it. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out. Enjoy the beautiful weather in San Antonio. That's why we all live here, isn't it? It certainly is for me. Peace out, everybody. Hook 'em horns, Craig Way. Hook Craig away. Hook 'em. Go get 'em, baby. Make a little run there for Texas. A lot of people think Texas needs a little run. Go get 'em. Good luck. Have a great call. See you, Craig. Who the hell is this? Get the hell out of here. Stupid bastard.